Hey everybody, it's your girl Lizzie Yayo, forever keeping it a bando with the Hype magazine. And on today we have the fabulous Charles Wright. How you doing, today, Mr. Wright?
I'm doing great. So how are you?
I am fine. Can you tell everybody who you are and what exactly it is that you've done and what you're doing?
Wow. Well, I'm Charles Wright. I'm the leader of a band called the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band. And we recorded some hit records for Warner Bros. Back in the 60s and 70s. Two of my records are Love Land and Express Yourself. Of course, Do Your Thing, I could go on and on, about 9 records. But I'm a singer and I'm an author. I have a book out called Up From Where We've Come that you can find on Amazon. But I'm not here just to be selling books. I'm here to talk to Lizzie.
Yeah, and also make sure you let them know that they can pick up your book, and everything, because you have done so much, and you are appreciated. Can you tell everyone like your story? Where did it all begin? And what what made you or what got you to where you have gone?
Well, it started in the cotton fields of Mississippi. That's where I was born. And I came to California, and the guy who was my father's sharecropping partner, boss, somehow convinced my father that the blues is the devil's music. So I was not allowed to listen to it. The only time I actually heard in the blues was Muddy Waters lived across the street from my grandmother. And I heard him rehearse a couple of times. Other than that, I grew up void of secular music. And I came to California at the age of 12, and on the way from school, I'd be walking with kids and they'd be singing these songs. I said, where do you hear them at? They were listening to a radio show called the Honey Hancock radio show that played every day from 4 to 8 at night. So I started listening to the soul music station, and I got hooked immediately. And so after a while, when I went to high school, I was orientated for my classes, and then I went to lunch and I sat down at a table and bought some spaghetti and a roll, and I was getting into my roll and I heard something like I never heard before. It was the most beautiful thing I heard. So I got up and wrapped my food up and I went in search of what I was listening to. It kept stopping and starting, and I stopped until it started again. Then I got to around the corner. It was coming from behind the bungalow. There was 4 brothers back there singing 4-part harmony. And man, oh man,
Yes.
I never heard anything like that. So every day you find me back behind that bungalow. They come there at 12 o'clock every day to rehearse, and they had some fans standing around. And then you find me back there listening to that harmony. And after a while, I got feel like I should be doing this too. I didn't know nothing about it, but then I heard a guy named Jesse Bell has the most unique voice you could ever hear. And I found his phone number in the phone book, and I called him up and said, Mr. Bell, I want to sing, I want to sound exactly like you. He said, boy, get your own style and leave mine the F alone. I thought that'd be a compliment. And he actually ended up taking me on his wing and learning me how to sing and how to work in this business. and I never will forget him for that.
That is awesome. It's good to have someone that's willing to take the time out, you know. And a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have those type of people. And when you do, and you appreciate them, and obviously you've shown that your appreciation through your journey, you know, that is a beautiful thing. Now you said your early exposure to music, especially through Mr. Belvin, played a significant role in shaping your musical journey. How did Belvin's mentorship influence your approach to music? And what lessons did you carry from that time?
Well, the first thing that happened with Mr. Belvin was he allowed me to come to a rehearsal that weekend with a group called the Turks, who had hit records on the radio too. And I went over there, and when I left there, you couldn't pry me away from this business. I went and started myself a group. We had a little problem trying to get started, but we got started. And so Mr. Belvin told me about a man in the neighborhood who had a studio and a record label. So I went by the man's studio and I asked him to grant us an audition. He said, well, don't bring them in here until you're sure they're ready. So after a while, I brought them in there. And my cousin was one of the guys in the group. I had two cousins and one other guy in the group. My cousin sang like a songbird. He sang the first couple of songs. Then I stepped up to the mic, and Mr. Williams, the owner, said, hold it. Don't you ever start trying to sing lead again. Let your cousin do the lead. You stay in the background. And that broke my heart. Mm-hmm. I bowed my head, stepped back into the background. But I went in, there was a tunnel near my house where kids go in a tunnel to go across the street to school. Yeah. And I go in there every night because I had echoed my voice back. And I rehearsed for about, 6 months maybe. Then I wrote a couple of songs and I went back over to Mr. Williams' place by myself. I sit down at his piano, hoping he allowed me to finish the first verse, and I sang my song. And he let me finish it, and he said, I looked around to see how his reaction. He said, I don't believe this. You're not the same guy within here. I told him never sing lead again. He said, I would record you with that song there anytime that if I could. I said, well, why not? He said, well, let's do it. He said, well, my equipment in here is only for rehearsal. I go to Hollywood and rent the best studios when I record a professional record. So he said, I'm going to take you in the studio the next time I go. And from now on, you're going to be my #1 superstar. Oh. I said, okay. So he did what he said he was going to do. And he went into the studio. He was recording someone else. So, but he gave me the last 15 minutes to record 2 songs. And the song he recorded, he had it sitting in a corner in his office for about almost a year. Then a disc jockey came along and heard it, and he leased it from him, and it became my first hit record.
Amen.
Yeah, and from there on, I've been through a whole lot of trips. I mean, I got cheated out all the way for that record. I learned how to perform, though, and from there on, I got that group faded away, and then I got in another group called The Shield. We had a huge record, #12 pop record. And that group, when it faded away, I got in another group called the Galahad. And when that something happened there, we had a problem with Alan Freed. You know who that is? You don't know, I'm
No,
sure.
sir. No, sir.
Alan Freed screwed us up real good. And the guy who record company we were recording for asked me to stay on as his A&R director. I hadn't thought of myself as being nothing but a doo-wop singer, but took the job, and I produced a hit record for that guy. And he cheated me out of money. So I decided after that I learned how to play the guitar. I'm left-handed, so I don't know how they say you couldn't play guitar left-handed, but I turned the guitar bounce out of it, and I learned how to play the thing, and I started a band and made some hit records.
Awesome. So for people that are up and coming, the importance of knowing, I guess, it had to do with contracts, making sure that everything was in order, or how did that go about with them doing that?
You know, every time I got cheated, it was because in those days, they didn't have lawyers for us. They didn't have they had entertainment lawyers, but they were entertainment lawyers, but they weren't for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and we kept getting beat out of everything. And today you have entertainment lawyers don't ever think of signing a contract unless you have a lawyer present or available to you. And for God's sake, I'm hearing this music that's made by machines. Learn how to play the instrument. Go get some theory under your belt, and learn how to play some real music, please. Because you kids are making music today that is not going to last. I'm sorry to say that, but if you want something that's going to be last, it's going to have to be genuine, real. And we brought something to this country that's made other people millions and millions of dollars. And we're yet to come through. Let a few of us make some money and look like we're making money, so everybody else think they can do it. But the thing about it is you need to keep our culture alive.
Yes.
Because our culture, people, Taylor Swift, for instance, broke a record yesterday. Because they've taken what we created here and they're making billions of dollars off of it because they're sticking to their real instruments. They're not playing with electric drums and electric keyboards. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Yes, it definitely does. They're more authentic and just keeping it in the culture, you know, not instead of allowing. I understand.
Everybody's copying off of us. Everything, our dances and our language, you know, they're copying off of us, and we lost our way by going electric. Yeah, you can make a record for $15, but it don't mean nothing in the long run.
That's right. Moving from a cotton plantation in Mississippi to Los Angeles at the age of 12, what has been a significant transition, and how did this change in environment impact your perception of music and contribute to your artistic development?
Well, when I came to California, it was like I had come to a different planet. I finished elementary school my last year of school, and it was totally integrated. And we had come from an environment where white people ruled brutally. And that, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
That
okay.
was so transition for me. And it made me feel like I had a chance. When I had never felt that way before. That's all. So that. So finally, I felt like I had a fair chance to do something positive. And I did. When I started making music, I didn't realize, the record companies, the executives, they treat you real good until the money comes in. And that's when you find out that don't have that even chance anymore. I don't want to sound negative, but that's just a fact.
Right. Definitely. The name of my show is Keeping It a Bando. So yes, keep it a bando. Keep it a bando so the people know what's real.
All right.
Right. Because that's the only way to go. You got to be real.
Yes, that's why I'm striving to tell these young people, let's make some real music, because you guys have soul and machine has no feeling really.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You
So
can make some sound.
you can make sounds with that phone real quick.
Yeah.
You can tell them like go get a violin, or get a guitar. It's a
Yeah.
different feel. Definitely different feel. It takes too
Real.
much energy. They have to use their brain.
Yeah. But, well, you have to
So
keep using your brain though.
say it again.
You have to keep using your brain if you're going to win.
That's right.
We have something special that we offer the world, and it's gotten us this far, and now we fell off the rail. As far as I'm concerned, someone, I think one of the record companies sent someone in my house in the middle of the '80s to tell me if I want to continue to participate in the music industry, I had to get me an electric drum and an electric keyboard. And that's the most ridiculous thing, as far as I'm concerned, for some people who got soul to give their souls up.
Yeah. As a member of the Shields in the late 1950s and early 1960s, how did your experience in a doo-wop group influence your later work, especially with the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band?
Well, when you read my next book, you'll understand, you know, the Shields actually ended up being a disaster. The lead singer went off mentally, and we had to keep trying to do it without him. And we had some hard time experiences. I mean, you'd have to read it in my book because I'd already expressed it all out there. Okay. But we went to the Apollo Theater. The first time we went on the stage, it was a disaster. That I don't want to explain right now. You can read it in my book.
I know that's right.
But yeah, after that, I learned you have to really have something more than being able to sing. You have to have some charisma. You have to create a show. And that's what I started doing after that. I started the next group I had. I taught them how to do some routines, and we bought some raggedy clothes, and we do part of our show in, and then we would rip them off, and then we would finish the show in some fancy attire. You know, we I mean, from then on, and then the Watts band, we worked in nightclubs around here, and we developed routines. We had a step for almost every note we played. You couldn't follow us easily, you know. And, that was a great band, but I had some people inside of the band. Out of 9 people, a couple of them were jealous hearted, and that destroyed my band.
Your hit "Express Yourself" with the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band is a classic. Can you share the inspiration behind the song? And did you anticipate its immense success when creating it?
I never thought it was going to be as successful as it really is in the long run, because most records are not that successful. It's been in 100 commercials, TV commercials, and about 30 some odd movies. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Titans. I can't mention all of them because I can't get them all in my head at once. But anyway, it was, what happened is we were performing at Texas A&M one night. Excuse me. And we had a hit song called "Do Your Thing." And it comes to the rough end. And when it ended, the kids kept clapping and stumping and clapping and stumping. So I don't know, only God made me say, I said, express yourself. And they went wild. I mean, they went wild. So I took a notebook and my guitar to my hotel room, and I wrote the song that night. And then we came back to LA the next day, and I taught the drummer his part. I taught the guitar player, the other guitar player his part, and the bass player. And then I took the band in the studio and tried to record it, but it didn't work. So that weekend, someone told me, just take the bass player and the drummer and go in the studio and engineer and record the track. And I did that. I brought it back that next day or so. I called the band, the horn players, and I set them down to do their parts. They didn't want to play on it. They thought it was a piece of shit. So, excuse my expression.
No, you are right. Express yourself.
Okay, I used to be a studio musician, so I told them, you guys don't want to play it, I'll get my own studio buddies, they'll be glad to play it. They grumbled and they played it. Then I took it to the record company, and the president said he thought it was a piece of shit too. I said, put it out, man, it's a hit. And when it came out, we were working in a club for a disc jockey. He owned a club in Detroit. I had the first 2 copies sent there, and I gave him one of them. He went into his office and he played it. And he came out and he said, I think you made a mistake this time, Charles. He said, but I'm going to play it because you guys are doing such a great job at the club. The next thing, the record got played on the radio and it became a smash. So I saw that disc jockey 10 years later at a convention in a hotel suite where there's parties. I told you it was going to be a smash, didn't he? I said, yeah, you sure did, man. I had to kick myself in the butt for letting him get away with it.
Right. Right. With the loss of Jesse Belvin, must have been a profound moment in your career. How did his passing impact um, your musical direction? And how did you navigate the challenges of continuing your journey without his guidance?
Jesse Belvin he brought rhythm and blues, if that you want to put music in a category. He brought rhythm and blues to Los Angeles. He was the king. He produced and recorded so much music with different groups of people, wrote a song he had written, and went on tour. He had his biggest hit record called Guess Who. When that record came out, he went on a grand tour. He took Joanne, his beautiful wife, with him, and they went into this place we used to play in Arkansas. They had a chicken wire going down the center of it. White people on one side, black people on the other side. And he performed, him and Jackie Wilson performed that night, but the white kids showed up late and they demanded another performance, but Jackie Wilson wouldn't allow his band to play it again. And so they went out and cut their tires with razor blades. Oh. And nobody knew that tires were cut. And that night on the highway, Jesse met another car. Both of them was doing about 80 miles an hour. And they landed head on and killed him, Joanne, and didn't kill the chauffeur, killed his valet also. So he was only 32 years old. That was one of the most painful situations I'd ever faced at that age.
I'm sorry. My condolences, most definitely. But your book, Up From Where We've Come, offers a glimpse in your life and experiences. What motivated you to share your story in written form? And what do you hope readers take away from
it? You know, life is complicated. The reason I wrote my book is I feel like people should know where I came from and what I had been through and what Black people went through in the South in that era. And I don't think it's changed that much because I go back there and white people, they're so nice, but they're very impatient. You know, don't ask them a question of anything 3 times, you might get cussed out. They go into their businesses, and you most of the time in this business there's rebel flags. So they still have that Southern mentality, that slavery mentality. And unfortunately, what happened is we used to pick cotton and chop cotton. Chopping cotton is when you plant the cotton, and when it's about this high, you have to chop the weeds from between it so it can proliferate instead of the weeds taking it over. And then it gets about this high, and we go back and we do it again. Well, they got chemicals today that they plant with the cotton, and nothing will grow but cotton. So they don't need us to chop their cotton anymore. They have a machine that can pick as much as 10,000 people a day. They don't need us to do that anymore. So down south now, they have lots of people just sitting around collecting welfare with nothing to do. That's a sad occasion to me. And they also, when I was down there, never heard of anything about dope. except for maybe marijuana. The cows would eat it and get drunk and make you drunk if you drink the milk.
Mm.
But now they got crack, you know. So we have not progressed far enough from where we were in the 40s and 50s. I'm sad to say. And nobody's addressing this, because me addressing it could be a danger to me, really, because nobody is addressing the situation as it actually is. You know, they don't need us anymore.
Well, I appreciate you, you know, keeping it a bando, keeping it real. Definitely. Hey, you know,
Yeah.
back in there, is there a particular moment or achievement in your career that stands out as the most personally fulfilling or memorable time?
Right now, uh, right now, God is blessing me. Uh, I I have I used to sit in the airport, you know, on a plane, and I look out and see what has developed since the Wright brothers came up with the first airplane. And I've often said, I wish I could create something that will last forever, that's worthwhile. And right now, I can turn around and look back and say, I've actually done that. Express yourself is beyond my imagination what's happening with it. And I have so much more music that has not been exploited in that same kind of way as that song has. But that song has been really, really good to me. And I'm thankful, because most entertainers, when they get my age, they usually run out of money, or their health is bad or something. And God is really blessing me. I hope He continues to do so.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, can you tell everybody where they could find your book, and if they want to keep up with what you have going on, what is your social media tags?
I have people that do that stuff for me, but I don't. I can tell you my website is expressyourself.net. You can find my book the easiest at amazon.com.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much.
Up from where we've come.
One more time.
Up from where we've come. That was the original title. And since Donald Trump became president, I don't know if that's the right title. So I changed the title to, excuse me, Still on the Road to Freedom.
Still on the road to freedom. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, Lizzie Yayo, in the
Thank
Hype
you.
Magazine.
Thank you, dear. I hope I didn't put you to sleep.
Oh, no, you didn't. I appreciate every second of your journey. I definitely do. And you look great. You look great. They say black don't crack, and you prove that.
Thank you. I don't know if I look that great. All right.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate that. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Pretty fine yourself.
Thank you. Until next time.
All right. All right. God bless you and your audience.
All right.